Excellent. Okay, share on a friend's page. And oh, Katie, are we not friends on Facebook?
We may not be.
Huh.
You could tag my music page though. That'd be how I would share it anyway. So if you type in um if you type in an ad and then start writing Katie Doll, my music page should come up as a public page.
Okay, hold on. Whoops. So there are several Katie dolls. Are you aware of that?
Yes. Mine
Oh, I see.
yeah, you see
Okay.
me?
Yeah. Page. Like. And now I don't know if I can send this to you that way, but I can try.
If you tag me, I mean, if you write in the description, if you write at Katie Doll, I will get a notification about it and I can reshare it.
Okay. Share to a page. Let's see what that does. No, it wants one of mine. Edit post.
I'm also able to find it just if it's on your if it's on a public page of yours, I should be able to find it myself.
Okay, I think I'm sending it to you.
Okay.
Hopefully that worked. Anyway, I tagged you, so check in your notifications and
Okay.
see if it got it.
Great.
All right, and after you do that, it will be streaming on both of your Facebook whatevers and also on YouTube on my channel, which I wish I knew how to share, but if you can't get it any other way, Katie, you can get it this way. You can share this. I'll put the link in the chat.
Okay. I can I see it. I can share it.
Okay, good. Hi, Rick.
Oh,
Well, both of you. You know?
yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
So,
It's
okay.
it's a particular church holiday today, and that's one in the background.
Oh, what church holiday is it?
Pentecost.
Oh, okay. Shows you what I know. Shavuot was last week in, I think they're related. I'm not really sure. Oh, and here's the other thing. Turn the recording back on. No. No. Oops. That's not it. Can y'all hear my computer talking to me? Yeah.
Recording in progress.
There. That's what I wanted to do. So, I'd like to welcome everybody to Any Sunday Songwriters. This used to be second Sunday every month at a bricks and mortar location, and when that stopped, I put it online, and it took about a week and a half before I figured out I was no longer stuck with the second Sunday. I could do this any Sunday I wanted to, and now I do. And my guests today are Katie Doll, who is in Wisconsin. I met Katie, she doesn't know it, but I do. because she did a tech talk for Folk Alliance Region Midwest and had some just brilliant ideas about how to make a living during a pandemic. And I copied every last one of them. I was so happy. Thank you so much, Katie. And Bill Aspinwall, who comes from right here in Texas, he was in Houston, but actually he really comes from Colorado, and he moved there last week. So he's in Loveland now, and we are trying not to drip with envy. My husband would be like offering to come break your couch in and stuff like that. And I met Bill at a song circle that takes place in Houston somewhere. I don't really know the people who are running it, but I do know Ken Gaines, and he's the one who invited me to it. So that's all the information I have. You now know everything I know. Katie, would you like to kick it off?
Would I ever? Yes, please. Hello from rainy northeastern Wisconsin. It's I live in the rural northeast of Wisconsin, and our internet is dependent on weather sometimes, but so far this seems to be a internet-friendly rain, so we will hope that it continues to be that variety of rainstorm. But I am good at worrying about things like, for example, if the internet will screw up, if the rain will screw up the internet, and really just worrying about any old thing, and that's a real skill of mine. So this is a song about worrying and my special aptitude for worrying. Here we go. I took a walk in the redwood trees out in California. I thought the trees might speak to me that warm and windless summer day, saying we've been here 500 years by the wild Pacific Sea. But I took one look at those big old trees and I worried they would fall on me. Worry, my friend, worry, my love, worry, my shepherd and shield. I borrowed more trouble than I'll ever repay, frost on the summer fields. I lay down with a beautiful man, his eyes so kind and blue. We lay down on a feather bed in the cool of a July afternoon. I felt his skin, I felt the sun, I felt my soul would mend. Oh, I loved that lovely man, and I worried it was gonna end. Worry, my friend, worry, my love, worry, my shepherd and shield. I borrow more trouble than I'll ever repay, frost in the summer fields. I woke up on a clear blue day, feeling light and wise. The night had brought me peace at last and brightened all of my skies. I could see my worry gone from me, gone on the westbound track. My worry had finally set me free till I worried it was gonna come back. Worry, my friend, worry, my love, worry, my shepherd and shield. I borrowed more trouble than I'll ever repay, frost on the summer fields. Thanks. Thanks for the redwood background, Rick. Is that
Lovely.
very perfect?
That's
I wish
just
you were the
your
only one who does that. Bill, what you got for us?
Okay. I found that of a certain age, it's possible that you start resembling geologic features. And, we go through a bit of weathering as we progress through the years. And in part of that was recognizing that a lot of our experiences, you're sort of like a channel, and it just channels through you. And so I wrote a song about it, and this song is called Streambed. There's an old hammock on the porch of a wren house, made from a boat sail the color of sky. Nobody rests there, they just leave it hanging, and I'm like that hammock. The world keeps flowing by, I'm just a channel, a rocky old stream bed, can't hold the river back that's flowing through my head. I get these messages, I pass them along. The words and the music turn into these songs. I'm just an old stream bed. I've been through canyons so dark and so strangely. Gotta keep the love shining so shadows don't chase me. Waited so long to come home to my mountains, the sound of snow falling and aspens embracing me. I'm just a channel, a rocky old stream bed, can't hold the river back that's flowing through my head. I get these messages, I pass them along. The words and the music turn into these songs. I'm just an old stream bed. I'm driving home past a new parking lot. They cut down an old tree, no care for the cost. Got out the chainsaws, they carve it in pieces, load up the big truck, a century of history lost. I'm just a channel, a rocky old stream bed, can't hold the river back that's flowing through my head. I get these messages, I pass them along. The words and the music turn into these songs. I'm just an old stream bed. Hummingbird hovers, a message to pass on. I turn for an instant, and in a flash she is gone. That's it. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Rob.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Judy. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Janet. Janet is in Ra'anana in Israel.
Oh.
So far, she's the furthest away. Sybil, hi. The closest actually is, that's not me, that's Andy. He's in the other room. So one of the offshoots, one of the perks actually of the pandemic for me was I got to know my neighbors better, because at one point when we first started, I was doing these little front porch concerts every Friday night until it got too hot, because front porch concerts don't have attendees when the temperature is 110. Go figure. But I wouldn't do it either. So I wrote a song about them eventually to play for them. They haven't heard it yet. Across my street live Wade and Laurel, 4 kids in a lovely floral garden. Hybrid cars so they don't make too much carbon. Always there to do a friend a favor. They're happy too, they're good neighbors. Sue and Duke live one house further, wide veranda and a lawn he nurtures often. Glad to see you if you come a-knockin'. Sitting on their porch with the evening paper, happily, they're good neighbors too. Here in the center of the universe, we've got everything we need in our little neighborhood. We've got it so good. Here in the center of the universe, we've got everything we need in our little neighborhood. We've got it so good, knock on wood. Right next door are Kyle and Lindsay, family of 4 warm and friendly people. Backyard full of chicks and goats and a beagle. Eggs and cheese, what could be greater? Happily, they're good neighbors too. I finally figured out that the reason that all my neighbors have chickens and not is so that I don't have to. Always glad to do a friend a favor. I'm happy to, 'cause they're good neighbors.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
Love that.
I have to stop just for a second because I have to say hello to Jamshid, because this is the first time I've ever actually seen you. So hello, thank you for coming. I'm glad you're here.
Well, you did the song about neighbors and chickens, and this is a song about friends that are the opposite of neighbors, far away friends. I spent a year teaching English in France, which was super fun, but also challenging. I was in charge. I was an au pair for a family in addition to my English teaching duties, and the 2 little girls were like super cute the first time I met them, and then never behaved well ever again. That was the only time, and so it was a hard year. I'm not complaining. There was a lot of good pastry and wine and cheese, but it was challenging in a lot of ways. So I wrote this song. I had friends who really made it an easier year, and so I wrote this song for them. This is called Across the Sea. My friends across the sea feed me the fruits of the water, winter wine and honey from the bee. If I'm feeling faint, they bring me apricots and butter. I'm lonesome for my friends across the sea. My friends across the sea, come and meet me at the station. Bring me bon courage and bel esprit. If I lose my way, my friends just find me where I'm waiting. I know they will treat me kind across the sea. Si je me perds chez moi, oh ne me cherche pas. If my friends catch me when I'm climbing up my mountains, they say you can take your time across the sea. Si je me perds chez moi, on ne me cherche pas. Si je me perds là-bas, mes amis ne me quittent pas. To my friends across the sea, I'm a breakdown by the wayside. I'm a broken boat, drifting fast and free. But I just ride that rolling tide. I don't have to walk with pride when I'm beside my friends across the sea. I just ride that rolling tide. I don't have to walk with pride when I'm beside my friends across the sea. Thank you.
My wife would love that song. She lived in Paris for 3 years, so I'm sure you two could trade stories.
Totally. I love it.
Yeah. She was working for the State Department at the time, and that's actually where we met. In a way, we actually had known each other in Denver many years before, but we're just sort of colleagues. But fate conspired, and for a while, one year I made 7 trips to Paris. So
Oh, wow.
I was working at the time on a project in the Ukraine, so it was on the way. So this last year, we've all had some losses, and this is a song that I wrote for a friend of mine that I lost, who had been a real sort of inspiration and motivation for me on a project I was working on. And then in March he passed away a little over a year ago. And any rate, just want to make sure I'm tuned there. So his name is Rene Lawrence, and he was part of the old Kerrville Mafia, as I refer to them. But he was from Dallas, mostly growing up, and was just a fabulous musician and had done all kinds of things. And for the most part, in the last 10 years, I've been playing just in a beer joint in Houston every Wednesday in a house band. And he showed up one time with well, he was a friend of our drummer, and he somehow got interested in the project I was working on, and it was a big help at the time. At any rate, it's called "The Earth Will Take Us Back." It's a hazy fog, another old stray dog, hounded by connections that you lack. The fading history, a daily mystery, wondering if the earth will take us back. I'll lift this prayer up and stare up at each and every God. Holy, holy moly, holly, holly, oxen free. The earth will take us back. The odds are good, but the goods are on the roughest path, the finest treasure. It's a gift to give, to forgive your gods. Let your heart feel earthly pleasure. lift this prayer up and stare up at each and every God. Holy, holy moly, holly, holly, oxen free. The earth will take us back. Every pope wears lace with the slightest trace of irony and camp, and every shaman knows that the buffaloes keep the light that leads us back. I lift this prayer up and stare up at each and every God. Holy, holy moly, holly, holly, oxen free. Yeah. Holy, holy moly, holly, holly, oxen free. The earth will take us back. Thank you.
Yay, Bill. That's a great song.
It is. Well, while we're on the subject, there's been a lot of that going around. I am on a wire somewhere. There. My life is now not in danger. We lost a good friend this week, a fabulous musician and a wonderful person. His name is Scott Lanningham, and it was quite a blow because it's bad enough the way it is normally, and then it was even worse than that with COVID, and suddenly, yeah. So this is for Scott and everyone else. Yeah. I know my capos. If it speaks to you, please have some. An old friend stopped by the other day to open up the closets of the past so skeletons could dance from their hiding place, 'cause change is either here or closing fast. And we walked dense forests of memory, knowing past a day we didn't then, and listened to the soft and minor melodies and sang our songs of absent friends. Perhaps they've received their heart's desire, where time's less than a shadow on the wall. And now that they have met the great simplifier, I hope that love's the only memory they recall. Funny how we knew when we were children that love has no beginning and no end. And funny how we seem to have forgotten until we speak of absent friends. I so love the dream death and then rebirth. And maybe one day we'll be reunited. Who knows what the universe intends? So raise your glass, raise your glass, raise your glass to absent friends. Thank you.
Yay. Yeah, and there's no donation in the chat yet.
Oh, no, actually there was, but it's scrolled up, so let me put it in again. Thank you, Rick.
Sure.
By the way, you're a master of your backgrounds, Rick. That's
Yes.
amazing.
It's,
Well, thank
it's
you.
a superpower.
Yes, I've enjoyed doing that for these concerts.
That is great. I wish that could happen in real life concerts. Like, I wish that people could sort of reflect back to you whatever image they take from your song.
Oh,
Well,
wouldn't
these
that be
days-
fun?
These days, it's possible. All you have to do is just pay somebody to do it for you.
Pay somebody to what?
To do it for you.
Oh,
To project it behind you.
right. Well, this is a song of absence too, I suppose, in a way. An exciting, like, tail end of the pandemic situation for me coming up is that musical I wrote that was well, it's been sort of, its production status has been in jeopardy because of the pandemic. Now looks like it is going to be produced starting in June by a theater company I've worked with for a long time. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to do a song from that show. And the show's about the first state park that they created in Wisconsin, which is about 5 minutes from my house. And when they decided, it's a beautiful park. We just spent yesterday and today there. I love it. But when they decided to make it in 1908, there were 160 people living in that part of the world. So they had to, some of them were very happy to be bought out by the state and move elsewhere, and others were less happy. And of course, the ones who are less happy are more interesting to my play. But so I wrote this show about two sisters, and one of whom has been away in Chicago, and they've been a little bit estranged, and this state park situation forces them to reckon with their relationship. So the one who's been by herself in the woods in Wisconsin sings this song, and it's the title song of the play, and it's called The Fisherman's Daughter. I am the fisherman's daughter. I know waves and wind. I know salt and barrels and tin. I know the ways of the water. I know blades and twine. I always was his rock of Gibraltar, and he was mine. Fisherman's story, a boat across the sea. Cut a clearing, built a cabin, planted an apple tree. He learned to fish from Doc and from Dory. Took a wife at 33. She died at 40 and left him two daughters, Nora and me. Nora, always the smart one, took a job in Chicago. I stuck around. Now it's been 2 years that Papa's the city the very same day that they laid him in the ground. When I was the fisherman's daughter, I knew how the days would end. Light a candle in the window and guide him back home again. I knew how to pray he'd be safe on the water. I knew how to pace the floor. And now, Nora, I don't know if I should leave a light in the window for you anymore. Thanks. Thank you.
Katie, is that part of
Yay!
Wisconsin? Is that the little peninsula that juts out above
That's exactly
Green
right.
Bay?
Door County is,
Oh,
is
okay.
what it's called. Yeah, it's yeah. So if Wisconsin is a hand, some people
Yeah.
believe only Michigan is a hand, but Wisconsin also is a hand. It's the thumb. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah. They call it the Cape Cod of the Midwest, but we call Cape Cod the Door County of the East.
I'm going to have to go look at my map again and see what I think of your hand. Because I
Yeah, you
grew up
check.
in Michigan.
Oh man, the Michiganders are the hardest to convince that Wisconsin is a mitten, but it is. I believe it really is.
Jan's song actually reminded me of a song. Because I played in a beer joint for 10 years, you have to have at least one beer drinking song. And this is sort of that song. Instead of taking things one day at a time, this song suggests you take it one beer at a time. And, you know, you're wanting to encourage people to drink, but to drink responsibly. So just one at a time. Night is cold and the stars are clear. Bayou listens, but it can't hear. Here on the edge of everywhere, the swamp don't know and the swamp don't care. Best plan is take it slow through the cypress knees and the Tupelo. With 100 dozen troubles on my mind, let's just take it one beer at a time. One beer at a time, just raise your glass, I'll raise mine. Let's just take it one beer at a time. There's half a six-pack in the fridge. My dog just crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and last week's bread is half past stale, and the butcher's thumb still on the scale. Might just have to let the whole thing slide. Let the possum trot and the gator glide. With 100 dozen troubles on my mind, let's just take it one beer at a time. One beer at a time, just raise your glass, I'll raise mine. Let's just take it one beer at a time. Well, there's a northern wind in the southern sky. Never got the chance to say goodbye, but the waves still breaking up on the shore. Just can't care less when you can't take no more. Night is cold, stars are clear. I had to wonder why I'm still here. With 100 dozen rainbows left to find. Let's just take it one beer at a time. One beer at a time. Just raise your glass, I'll raise mine. Let's just take it one beer at a time. Let's just take it one beer at a time. Just one.
Yay!
Thank you.
Just one.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Bill. Did you ever live here in Austin?
Well, yes, sort of, kind of. Now, it was complicated. I mentioned Gail, my wife. She was from Austin before she lived in Paris.
Uh-huh.
And she had a house in Austin. And when she finished her assignment, she worked for the State Department in Paris. She moved back to Austin. And about 3 years later, we got married. So for a while, I was commuting on the weekends from Houston to Austin. And then, early Monday morning, I would drive back to Houston and go back to work. So I was, what do they call that, bi-urban? I lived in both Houston and Austin.
Well, there was a reason I was asking, and that was because there is a street here, and I have lived on it, named Possum Trot. And I was wondering how you came to use that phrase in your song. And, the whole time I lived there, which was about 2 years, I believed they called it that just because they called it that. And then one night, very, very late, I was coming home with the two people I lived with, and up the middle of the road in our headlights was a pure white possum going as fast as his little feet would carry him. And the guys that I was with decided that he was somebody's escaped pet, and they actually climbed a tree to snare this possum and brought it home and put it in a cat carrier. And I got to tell you, possums really don't have much in the way of talent as far as pets are concerned.
No.
They can roll over and play dead, and they make disgusting sounds when they eat. And we were happy to let him go and have his freedom back.
Yeah, I'm far from being a possum expert, but it's a phrase that gets used. And I will say, one time we did find a little baby possum in our trash can, and so I had to wheel it. We lived on Mount Bunnell Road.
Good for you. That's
just down
a
near.
lovely area.
Well, it was not up on the upper reaches. This was down past where that Dry Creek bar is. Down there, and but I had to wheel the bin down to kind of the edge of the hollow there, and then just gently lift it up till he could slide free. And bye, little possum.
Oh, that's so cute. But they still don't make good pets.
No.
So, Katie, there was something in your song that triggered this for me, and I was going to actually do this later, but since you brought it up, the whole thing about the family being held together by the parents and sisters, I have a project, it's right here, that I finished last year before the pandemic, actually the year before, and it ended up being a book. It's all the stories from the Bible that you didn't get to hear, the ones that you never got to meet the person, or you met them but not by name, or this is what it looks like inside. It's the lyrics to the songs and a drawing that's a collaboration between myself and Vanessa Lively. In fact, there's one for each song and a little backstory on each song. But the one that started it all is about sisters. And when I realized that the more important sister never got her story told, it was like I knew about the story and I knew about sisters because I got 2 of them. Our family was 3 girls. I know that dynamic. So this was the result. As far back as I remember, I was always Rachel's sister. Sometimes I think that started before she was even born. She was lively, she was clever, and everybody loved her. And when the men came looking, it was Rachel they looked for, not me. I was Rachel's sister. Jacob saw her fetching water, asked if she was Laban's daughter, and she ran home to let us know to make room for one more. I fell in love that night at dinner. He never saw for watching her, and when the meal was over, it was Rachel he asked for, not me, Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written. Those were the lives we were living. Here is the truth, not the one that others told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister. They said Jacob was the trickster, but my father brought me forward on Rachel's wedding day, draped in veils upon his arm. But then Jacob worked the harder, and for Rachel too he bartered. Still, I thought I'd win him when each new son was born. To me, Rachel's sister. But every night I'd hear her whisper, give me sons like you gave my sister. Prove that you love me. Prove you love me more. So then one night he did it, and little Joseph was his favorite. But Rachel died in childbirth when her second son was born, leaving me, Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written. Those were the lives we were given. Here is the truth, not the one that others told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister. Every now and then I wonder, is he still thinking of her? Though I'm the one that keeps him warm when the nights are cold. Did she love him as I love him, or did she just love to win? She is blessed memory, so I will never know. I am only Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written. Those were the lives we were given. So here is the truth, not the one the old men told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister. And angel sister.
Hey!
Thank you.
Lovely. I came from a there are like 1 million pastors and seminary professors and church camp leaders in my family. I come from a long line of Baptists, and so at my at dinner, whenever I went to my grandparents' house for dinner, we got to play a game, which was pitched as a like a privilege of dinner, and it was a Bible trivia game, and the way it worked was my grandpa said, Old Testament or New Testament, and then you said Old or New, and then you had to answer questions. So I think I will continue the Old Testament theme. Only tangentially, but I have so where I live here in the aforementioned thumb, there is cherries are our thing. Another point with which the Michiganders may take umbrage, but cherries really are a thing in Door County, and I'm right next to an orchard, actually, our house. And my great grandpa was one of the first people in the county to plant cherry trees back in the 1910 or so, and then my grandma grew up in an orchard, and then she moved away, went to college, and so my mom's generation didn't live here where I live, and I think that we always grew up visiting, but I think that she and her other brother, who doesn't live here, feel sort of like this is really home, and they're away from it. So this is a song I wrote for my uncle, who's a pastor, of course. If you're not, that's what everyone is. So he's a pastor, and this is called County Line. I wrote it from his perspective. My mother left her cherry orchard home the day that she turned 18 years old. I hear she grew up with nimble fingers, piano player and a cherry picker, sifting through the trees for bright red gold. But that day she left to seek her fortune, crossed that county line and moved on down the road. She says there's no line quite as thin as that county line, no sin, just like leaving all behind the land of cherry trees and pine for. Baby, in my mind, I'm always looking back to find that I'm a pillar of white salt beyond that line. There's a cherry blossoms. She was a pastor's wife, and I am his son. He took us far from my mother's county line. We crossed state lines like criminals, moving boxes full of old hymnals, glanced back at all the sin we'd left behind. And when summer came, my mother brought us back again. There I found the only home I'll ever find. 'Cause there's no line quite as thin as that county line, no sin, just like leaving all behind the land of cherry trees and pine for. Mama, in my mind, I'm always looking back to find that I'm a pillar of white salt beyond that line. It's hard to believe now my mother has been 10 years gone. It's hard to believe I've got a pulpit of my own. It's hard to believe my mother's cherry trees are growing toward the sun. I feel so far down and miles away from home. Now I count days like a blind man, counting steps on the way back to his chair. Sometimes I wish I could go back again, show my wife, my kids where I really am, pick some cherries, send my mom a little prayer. And the first thing that I would say to her is, how'd you ever tear yourself away from there? When there's no line quite as thin as that county line, no sin, just like leaving all behind, the land of cherry trees and pine fruit. Mama, in my mind, I'm always looking back to find that I'm a pillar of white salt beyond that line. I'm a pillar of white salt to a different place and time.
Yay!
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Wow.
Katie, how
Wow.
could anybody take umbrage at you no matter where they're from?
Oh, well, oh, thank you. It's very kind. I trust me, they have managed to do it. But these
Katie, it is so amazing. I love that song.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It's
much.
beautiful. Beautiful. There's a little cherry tree in our backyard. It's kind of brand new. I think it might be 2 years old or so. But it blossomed this year, and we might have a bowl full of cherries.
Are they sweet?
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know
good.
yet. I can't tell. I'm not. I grew up with apple trees mostly, and interesting distinction. This town that I live, it was a farming town, and the main crops were sugar beets and cherry trees. For a while, they're not. The cherry trees are gone. The sugar beet is still there a little bit. And the difference from where I grew up, you had farming towns and you had mining towns, and Boulder was a mining town. And one of the primary distinctions in a farming town, you have more churches than you have bars, and in a mining town, you have more bars than you had churches. And there was a woman in town in Boulder who was called the Goat Lady. And at the time, she lived on the edge of town, and she raised goats. And but she was always seen on her property in black, and apparently her husband had died during World War II, but carrying a shotgun. And so this kind of scared a lot of kids. Had to walk by her place to get to the school bus, and they were scared to death of the Goat Lady. But as it turned out, she raised the goats for milk for kids who were allergic to cow's milk, which she provided to the parents for free. So she was actually involved in a lot of good works in town. And I kind of borrowed her persona for a project I'm working on about the Florida parishes in Louisiana during the Civil Rights era. And so the song's called Goat Lady, and she's one of the characters. And I'm kind of like halfway through this thing. I don't even know what it's going to be yet, but this is a song called Goat Lady. She wear a black bandana and she wear the motorbike boot. Try to steal her watermelon, you find how sharp she shoots. Her husband died in World War II. That's why she always wears black. Keeps an ear out for the police in a backwoods radio shack. She raises goats for meat, milk, and cheese. She taught herself to read every science and all the histories. She's always up to speed. She built her own motorcycle. She keeps her Springfield armed. A brace of leopard Catahoula keep her safe from harm. She got a place right on Pearl River, a floating house with stilts. Folks in town think she's plumb loco. It's just a disguise she built. Oh, it's just a disguise. You know that go lady? She crazy. Go lady. Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay, so before we move on, the time has come to ask Katie, where are you going to be next, and where can people find you online?
Well, let's see. You can find me online. I have a website, katiedollmusic.com. I can put it in the chat. And I'm doing a weekly little series called Covers and Rambles on my Patreon page. I'll put that in the chat too. And I was doing so much live streaming all winter and spring, and this is my last one I have on the books for quite a while as I try to test the waters of the real world. But I'll put links to my website and my Facebook page where I put everything that's going on, and my Patreon page. So I'll put those in the chat.
Great.
Yeah.
And Bill, how about you?
Oh man, I just moved, so I don't know what's going to happen next. There's a couple, as we met, a couple songwriting circles I'm part of. I have a longtime friend here in along the Front Range. He actually lives down in Broomfield, and he and I played together in high school, and we talked about possibly putting together some sort of musical adventure. And he has a keyboard player he's friends with, and so, but it's all theoretical, hypothetical at the moment. I'm not sure. I have been sort of scouting out some of the local venues here, and may try to pick up a weekly or a monthly type gig at the local. There's a number of brew pubs and so forth, environments I'm familiar with. So, but I don't have anything definite, and I do have a page on Reverb Nation. It's Bill Aspinwall. But I honestly, in the last forever how long, I haven't been busy promoting anything because I didn't have time. I mean, it really was sort of a part-time thing, and I had this Wednesday gig every week, and it was easy to just show up and do it, and I didn't have to worry about booking stuff. I did a few other things, and like I did for example, with his friend in Broomfield, put a band together. We did an annual benefit concert up here in Colorado at a place called Nieces for a friend who does medical research. He's actually working on a vaccine for AIDS, and we provided a little bit of money for that program every year.
Nice.
And it was an excuse for old high school friends to get together, really, but a lot of fun. And so he and I, could end up doing something. Hard to say. we'll find out.
If you're checking out places in Boulder, check out the Laughing Goat if it's still there. I played
think
there.
it is.
It was a nice place.
I have an online contact with Shanna in Address, who's a wonderful songwriter, and she's in Boulder, and I think I've seen a couple videos that she's filmed live there, and I think it's still there. But I haven't checked lately. Who knows what's happened in the pandemic? But yeah,
She's been on this show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's wonderful. She's a great songwriter.
And she's been on Molly's show, and
yeah,
that's where she told us that she's thinking about moving to Nashville. So you better nab her quick.
Yeah, really.
Well, I think that's long gone. But anyhow, she's doing a bike tour. This summer, I believe.
Yes, which
so
the
that's
logistics
an
of
interesting
which boggle my mind.
Yeah, really. It's very ambitious, but great. Yeah.
So we have already talked about flying thither and yon for both of you. I myself also was doing that before the pandemic. And I had this remarkable conversation, and luckily it was during the middle of a song challenge. We were supposed to write 14 songs in 14 days, 3 of which ended up on the previous album to the unsung one. And how do I describe this? I'm sitting on the airplane. It's the last 3 days of the challenge, and I have my notebook on my lap in front of me with the usual tyrannical blank page. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world am I supposed to do this? And suddenly the woman next to me started to talk. And this is about what she said and about our conversation thereafter. Can you hear the keys? She says, flying is impossible, and I sure hope she's wrong, 'cause we're on an airplane flying to New York City. And I'm writing this in shorthand so she cannot read this song, all about our conversation while flying to New York City. She says not all that long ago, people walked where they were going. No one thought about flying to New York City. People didn't move about as if they were leaves blowing in the wind, let alone flying to New York City. I said, I guess that makes this some kind of miracle, that we still get on planes. She says, yes, 'cause flying is impossible, but it's still possible for us to have faith. The song may seem like fantasy, but what do you expect? After all, we're flying to New York City. And I'm chatting with a stranger I just met, and it's all about miracles and faith and flying. Off we go. Thank you.
Yay! It's really funny.
It was amazing to me, and I was so glad that I was thinking in songwriting terms.
Does anybody even learn shorthand anymore?
You know, I don't know. I learned it back in the 9th grade, and I have found uses for it aplenty since then.
There's a fabulous little passage in one of the Foils War episodes where it turns out that Honeysuckle Weeks knows how to take shorthand, but she can't read it.
That's an unusual feat. Oh, before I go, I wanted to mention that we do this a few times a month. June is jam-packed. If you'd like to be on the mailing list for it, please put your name in the and email address in the chat. And if you don't have your chat open, there's a whole nother world going on over there. You really should open it. The next one is Mandy Woods from the UK and Gary Stockdale from right here in Austin. And I'm pretty excited about that. We also have Severin Brown and Joe Jenks coming up in June, and quite a few other people whose names I'm unfortunately not being able to call to mind right at the moment, but you know, brain like a steel sieve here.
What's the date in June?
I'm sorry?
What's the date in June?
June 6th is the first one, and then it's not the next Sunday after that, but the one after that. But the one with Joe Jenks is the following Sunday after that one. So there are going to be 3 in June. But here's something exciting that just happened, and if you're in Austin, I hope you can be there. I am going to do my first on-site gig since March 2020 at New World Deli on May 30th, 2 to 4 in the afternoon. So it's going to be a Sunday again, and I love the New World Deli, and if you don't know about it, you should. So please come if you can. And that is, and you can find me at jansides.com, of course.
They have like impressive conservation of letters in New World Deli, right?
Yes,
like,
they do.
Yes,
they ran it all together. It's NEWORLDELI, New World Deli.
I love it. I
Me
love
too.
it so much. I remember it was like the first, like 10 years ago, I was going on my first ever tour, like big tour, you know, and I was just like, I had no idea how to book a tour. So but my husband had friends in Austin, so we were going to go to Austin, and I was like, New World Deli, and so I always remember writing them a cold email like, please book me. By the way, they didn't, which is fine. I wouldn't necessarily have either, but I always have. I was like, now I don't remember who I write anymore because it all blurs together. But like, they're one of the first ones I wrote.
Well, next time you're going to be here and you want to play, contact me and I will help.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to do my flying song too. I think I have one, and I wrote this. My husband and I went on a honeymoon to Europe. Our anniversary is coming up actually in 8 days, and we were. But anyway, when we went on our honeymoon, it was like 3 years after the wedding. We had to like replenish our funds that much, right? And then we went to only places where we knew people, so it meant we spent weeks in strange. Like in Leicester, England, we spent a week, and people were like, "Oh, you're on your honeymoon here in Leicester." Like, yes, we are. But it was very fun. Anyways, so the one place we went where we didn't know anybody was Sweden, because that's where my heritage is, and I was interested in that. And sure enough, we like got into the gate area, and all these people waiting to fly from Paris to Sweden, and they all looked like I was related to them. Like they all looked like my grandpa. So I suddenly felt like, like, you know, like I'm here anyway. But then we got on the plane, and then then the events of this song transpired. When the engine's losing fuel, 10,000 feet above the Baltic, and the sun is falling fast, toward the Copenhagen grounds. Sunset water down below glitters harder than a garnet, and you pray your feet will find that good northern ground. And you wonder if your mother feels your fear across the ocean in the Minnesota dark, in a February town. So you try not to feel afraid, whisper I love you and I mean it, and you pray she's sleeping well on the good northern ground. It was 1863. He set out on the ocean, your mother's grandfather's father, from a Swedish farmer's town, riding hungry in the hold through the swells of the Atlantic, till he finally stepped back on good northern ground. And the girl in 19D looks a little bit like he did. Same ocean in her eyes, the same question on her brow, whether home is just ahead or forever left behind her, wondering if her feet will find that good northern ground. So when the engine's losing fuel, you think of sinking in the Baltic, painted clouds up above, gravestone water all around, and you take your lover's hand and just stare out at the setting sun as you all go sliding down toward the good northern ground. Yeah, you all go sliding down toward the good northern ground.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing, Rick. You even switched it from like a daytime plane to a sunset plane. This is some really impressive background.
Katie,
I can do
Katie,
that.
Beautiful song, Katie. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
it made that.
Thanks. I so it was, I started writing that song in a bathrobe in the Copenhagen Airport Hilton, which I have to recommend if you have an emergency landing. I say Copenhagen is the place. The Hilton is very nice. So
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. This next song was sort of inspired by an old Sanskrit poem that was translated by some English guy maybe 100 years ago. And allegedly the poem is something like 1,000 years old. It's called Black Marigolds. And it's not so much the story in the poem. That the story in the poem is sort of the classic of the common person who falls in love with royalty and life becomes hell because the parents don't like it. But rather, this is a song called "Best of My Days," and it's just simply a love song. Even as the dawn lights up the sky and the morning star dissolves in the light, with you by my side, I promise you this: I'll treasure to the end your sweet loving kiss. I was introduced to love, yeah, from the moment our lips met. Such pleasures memories are made of, yeah, if there's a finer feeling, haven't felt it yet. And so I'm keeping in my heart the times I best remember. You've been there all along in so many ways. You helped me through when I was ready to surrender. You made the best of my days. Even as the sun falls from the sky and the ivory moon is rising on high, I remember this, your smile like the sun, the sparkle in your eyes as your dress came undone. I was introduced to love, yeah, from the moment our lips met. Such pleasures memories are made of, yeah, if there's a finer feeling, haven't felt it yet. And so I'm keeping in my heart the times I best remember. You've been there all along in so many ways. You helped me through when I was ready to surrender. You made the best of my days. Thank you.
Yay!
Gorgeous, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, that's Lisa Canada there. Lisa and I used to be in a band in Houston called the Big Lizard Band. And Lisa's one of the finest vocalists you can find in Houston. I love
Bill is being way too generous.
No, I am not. She was just fabulous to work with. She just knew what she needed to do and did it, and it was lovely working with her, and I miss that
Oh, thank
a
you.
lot. Yeah.
Same.
How wonderful. Nice to meet you, Lisa.
Thank you. You too.
So I'm going to do a song, my motto, in song form. I will not be leaving without a struggle. No one will have to say, don't go gently to that good night. I'll be kicking and screaming and holding on to the door jambs, protesting all the way that I'm not done with this life. I want to see peace. I want to see joy. I want to hear the truth without the noise. I want to see justice with my own eyes. And then I'll be ready to say goodbye. Yeah, right. I believe Moses looked like Charlton Heston, and I believe he had a word with God. All I want to know is, when is it my turn? 'Cause I'm thinking miracles can't be all that hard. I want to see peace. I want to see joy. I want to hear the truth with no damn noise. I want to see justice with my own eyes. And then I'll be ready and I'll say goodbye. World peace is coming soon. We're gonna live up on the moon. I wanna watch those dreams come true. I wanna see it. I want to be here. I wanna see peace. I wanna see joy. I want to hear the truth without the noise. I wanna see justice with my own eyes. And then I'll be ready and I'll say goodbye. Then I'll be ready, maybe. Whatever happened to that flying car we were supposed to get? There.
Yay!
Thank you.
I love that song.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Hey Bill, I keep forgetting to ask you before songs. Do I remember right? I have a college friend who comes from Loveland, and maybe I don't know, you just moved there, right? So maybe you don't know the answer to this yet, but I heard that you can route your Valentine's Day mail through Loveland, so it has a Loveland postmark. Is it true?
Yes, it is true. My wife checked this out, and it is absolutely true. It's a cottage industry for the postal service here, and so you send them the Valentine, and then they stamp it with a special Valentine's Day stamp, and they do that every year.
I love it. It's like Etsy for the postal service.
Yeah, and planning,
Yeah, right. I know you really have to think of Valentine's Day earlier than the morning of, which is usually when I think of Valentine's Day. That's the only disadvantage.
Well, you don't have to do that if you're an artist.
You mean because I could like write a clever song like day of?
No. I'm sorry, wrong kind of artist.
Oh,
if you are a
yeah. If I
graphic artist, you
could
just
like
take a piece of paper and fold it over and make a card.
Right. Yes, I usually say I love you. That's usually what I think of doing in the morning. I'm a very hands-off. I like to think that I make my love known all the year long and don't need to remember anything on Valentine's Day. Yes. So speaking of love, this is an unrequited love song between a lazy Susan and a dumbwaiter. This is what would happen if a lazy Susan and lazy Susan fell in love with a dumbwaiter and it were not requited. So here we go. And by the way, I wrote this song about the love lives of kitchen implements before the pandemic, which is like, it would be weird enough to have written it in the last year, but you might understand. But I wrote it earlier, so what possessed me? I do not know. lazy Susan to the dumb waiter. You're the only friend I've got in this town. Why don't you come and take me dancing later? You could spin me round and round and round. The cook has got a ladle, the chef has got a lady, the baker's always whisking eggs away. If you were crazy for this lazy Susan, maybe you'd swirl me like a fancy French rosé. You just go up and down and up and down and up and then back down, jumping every time you hear the ding. When you gonna learn this world's direction is around? When you gonna break that string? Well, the flatware and the spatulas are always spooning, lonesome as a top without its spin. Won't you take some pity on this lazy Susan and twist me like the lemon twists the gin? You just go up and down and up and down and up and then back down, bouncing like a broken Cuisinart. Oh, but if you took a chance and took to twirling me around, I'd get to work and you'd get smart. Said the lazy Susan to the dumb waiter, you're the only friend I got in this town. Why don't you come and take me dancing later? You could spin me round and round and round. Why don't you come and take me dancing later? You could spin me round and round and round. Thank you, thank you.
Get it today.
Yay!
Finally.
Took me a minute to unmute.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about Colorado, where I grew up, and this is a song I wrote some time ago. It was actually a long time in development, but it's a song about my hometown and kind of the hometown of my childhood and the hometown before McDonald's and all the franchises and the suburbs came to town. I moved around, even in Boulder. I think I lived in like 7 or 8 places. My father had a somewhat checkered career. My mother worked as a English teacher at a junior high school, and that's where I learned to read and love the languages and so forth. But this is sort of, maybe it's idealized a little bit, but it's what a little mountain town was like prior to all the rest of it. Blue jeans and brook trout, 5 friends that checked out. Born in a small town, home runs and touchdowns. Fish with my granddad, memories I had like Christmas Eve snow. Dozens of cousins, my uncles and aunts, Arapahoe rodeo. Wheat fields and foothills and parents on white pills, farmers and miners, small change in the diners. Summers in bare feet, parades came down Pearl Street on the 4th of July. And up at the tree line, a buck and a doe, Arapahoe rodeo. Up Coal Creek Canyon, we had a small cabin, no electric, no water, no phone. After all of these changes in my life, I still wish it was home. stream beds with cowboys and potheads, a pinto with white socks, Hendrix at Red Rocks. I hardly said one word, but I often wondered how snakes wave goodbye. Snowman is melting, the creek starts to flow. Arapahoe Rodeo. A little hometown song. Thank you.
I kind of like the end of it where you started gathering together a collection of things from there.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a wonderful song.
Thank you, Jen.
So I have something in the same vein, and it actually was requested. It's all about leaving and returning and stuff. Because I left Austin after I discovered it, which, wait till you hear where I went. I left Austin and I moved to LA for 5 years. And I knew on day one that I had just made a monumental mistake, but I spent all the money making it, so it took a while, and I had to establish a life there. And it was an okay life, sort of, except it wasn't Austin. And one day it blew up in my face, and my reaction was not what you'd think, and what anybody watching me might think. My reaction was, good, I'm going home. So this is all about that. And thank you for requesting it, Steve. When I left New York City, I thought walls and lights were pretty. And wide open space, well, that was Central Park. And when I pulled into Austin, I thought soon I would be leaving. A little bit of Texas got stuck here in my heart. The sky's so big it scared me, but the people were so friendly. I kept putting off the date when I would depart for that west horizon, never realizing the longer that I waited, the more leaving would be hard. When I finally hit the road on Highway 10, I said, so long, Austin, I won't be back again. But I missed Texas every day and every night. I missed Texas, even things I didn't like. I missed Texas, it was tearing me apart. 'Cause a little bit of Texas was stuck here in my heart. There I am in LA, and I'm thinking I have it made. But every now and then my dreams would fall apart, and all the shoulders I could cry on were in some distant time zone. So I would cry all by myself for the breaking of my heart. Aww. Now I smile and shake my head and say, how silly can you get? What could I have been thinking to be wandering that far? And the man who walks beside me came back so he could find me. And we're both firmly wed to the heart of the Lone Star. When I finally hit the road on Highway 10, I said, make room, Austin, 'cause I'm coming home again. 'Cause I miss Texas every day and every night. I miss Texas, even things I still don't like. I missed Texas, and it was tearing me apart. 'Cause a little bit of Texas was stuck here in my heart. Yes, I miss I will never more depart, 'cause a little bit of Texas, right out of the middle, it's stuck here in my heart. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Hey!
Thank you.
Love it.
Los Angeles in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. In a marginal Volkswagen.
Mm.
What do you think? One or two more rounds, or what?
Yeah, probably two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing is, nobody's waiting for the stage. If we go a
Right.
little over 5 o'clock, it's okay.
well, this is one of my pandemic songs. I haven't written a ton in this pandemic. I had like a huge to-do list, which involved, organizing and running a marathon and writing several plays and 2 albums and whatever. Then I realized that I had a 5-year-old and none of these things would be likely to take place. But he's very sweet. But he requires a lot of attention. Anyway, but I did write this song during the pandemic, and to me, like, in addition to many things, the pandemic was just all about thinking about how vulnerable any human body is, like, that I love, and I'm predisposed to think that way anyway. So my worry about my loved ones' muscles were already in very good shape pre-pandemic, and now they're like really toned. So this is a song that I wrote last spring, I think, and it's called Silhouette. How do you know that you love who you love? Do you wait for a flood? Do you send out a dove? When I get to wondering how deep or how high, I close my eyes, think about the day you'll die. Oh, love, the day you'll die. I saw death in New Orleans, smoking a serpent pipe, sipping Scotch bonnet tea. He was looking at you, you were looking at me. He was hanging a bloom on the magnolia tree. Me and you, that magnolia tree. Hey,
No, not yet.
I am a canyon, a red riverbed, stones in my belly, birds in my head. And you are the river, on the day you run dry. You see me reaching forever, stretching up to the sky. The canyon and the river, you and I. Hey, I love the meadow for the graves at our feet. And I love the rainbow for the rust underneath. That's how I love you. I love your kiss. I love your shadow, all the things I'll miss. Oh, love, the things I'll miss. You plant all the daffodils, pedaling the Iowa hills, pumping that spinning wheel, keeping that even keel, swimming in the cold lake, feeling that
So long, Steve.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
See you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming.
Oop.
And I want to thank Jan for inviting me. This has been great fun. I love hearing
My pleasure.
Other songwriters. Real pleasure hearing you, Katie. I've enjoyed that.
Likewise.
I lived in Texas for almost 20 years and didn't really write anything about Texas because I didn't consider myself a Texan because they're pretty, hardcore about that kind of stuff. But when I left, well, I felt like I could at least write a goodbye song. And so not having been from there, I invited some former bandmates who had a much stronger Houston background than mine, including Lisa, to come up with some Houston topics that I could include in this song. It's called Hasta la Vista Bayou. And one of the things, the strongest things about Texas is the music. And it's the thing I will certainly miss. And it's the thing that binds a lot of Texans together, whether it's Western swing or rock and roll or R&B or rap. It's just a very strong part of the culture. And so the people and the music are what I will miss the most. And I tried to kind of include elements of that in this song. So. Houston's the best place to put a band together. Those were Ray Charles' words. There's Grady Gaines and Gatemouth Brown and Milton Jackson. Amazing to be heard. There's some fancy sheds up in River Oaks, but churches take the crown. Mr. Van Zant was gospel at the old quarter and Anderson's fairground. Cruising down Heights Boulevard, eating enchiladas near the Turning Basin yards. Lightning Hopkins fully loaded Third Ward shotgun blues. Chameleonaire's groove. Houston's so hot the camel died at the zoo. The Astros don't play nice. Heard ZZ Top on window pane at Liberty Hall, munching red beans and rice. Peppermint Park was painted up in candy stripes. Astro World had a wagon wheel. The River Road Boys played Western swing at the Sons of Herman. Double fiddle, pedal steel. Shiver, shimmy, shell road gravel, laid by burning judges and their honest shovels. Coyote pelts were draped along the clay road, fence post rows, with blackberries and tornadoes. of suburban schlock, strip malls without end. My favorite band names were Rusted Shut and the Bicycle Thieves. That's why Bayous Bend. Now we're trapped in rush hour traffic. The beltways stop and go. Everybody's charged with static. Tire polished concrete shines like pearl gray shark skin suits with alligator boots. Thank you.
Yay!
Yay.
Real gray sharks.
Did the camel really die at the zoo?
Yeah. I had neighbors who were from New Jersey, and they took their parents to the Houston Zoo, and in their best New Jersey accent, when they came back, said, "It's so hot, the friggin' camel died."
Oh, that's so bad.
It really
It was very sad, but
hot and humid. One of my most vivid memories of Houston. Technically, it was outside Houston, but it was on. We were coming back from somewhere in Arkansas, and we got on 1969 to come back to 290. And 1960, we ended up counting how many blocks between the dark tans. You know, because I kept noticing dark tan happening over and over again, not very far apart. It turned out to be, they were a mile apart, 12 blocks. Amazing. So this is about Austin, but I don't know if Austin ever gets mentioned in it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But the reason I wrote it was because of a song prompt in which we were supposed to look for something that was in the paper and write about it. And we get the paper 2 days a week. And so I got online and I looked up our local paper, the Austin Statesman, which is, well, we'll get into that some other time. It's a rag, but it's a rag that changes sides frequently, so I guess it's all right on average. And the thing is, Austin has become a mecca for a lot of different industries. Silicon Valley is moving here en masse. And I have a friend who's in real estate. In fact, you've met her. She was on this program a few months ago. Her name is Elise Black, and she also does real estate for a living, or she also does music for a living. Depends on what day you ask, I suppose. One of the things she told me was that week there were 125 available single-family houses in Austin, and the demand is something like 1,000 a week. So, yeah. So the developers are desperately looking for places to develop. And the story I found in the Statesman was about that, well, the Statesman online, and it was a video, and I was listening to this person describe his circumstances, and I suddenly realized I'm sitting there taking notes, and he's writing the song for me. So here's the song. I should give him credit, but frankly, I don't remember his name now. My daddy really loved this land. I'd feel I was betraying him if I was the one to let it go. He used to say if you had pliers and a roll of baling wire, well, you could fix most anything that broke. Family history's big for me. Great-great-granddad born in slavery. When he was freed, he came to Texas. bought this land with saved up gold, and his descendants each have owned it. I don't propose to be the one to lose it. So it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses, that I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. I'm leaving it to my granddaughter. I want to do that for her, 'cause she lost her dad when she was only 5. I do believe he is watching and happy with these things I'm doing, like he'd do if he was alive. And it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses, so I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. She can be anything she wants to be, write her own future. She will keep the land and story going for those who come after. And it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses, that I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. The city needs more houses, yes, I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. My daddy really loved this land. I'd feel I was betraying him if I was the one to let it go. Thank you. So, last round.
Last round.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you
Well,
going to
thank-
ask where they're going to be appearing?
I did that, but we can do it again. Where are you going to be?
Nowhere. No, I mean, hopefully some places in Wisconsin where I don't think any of you, I don't think we got any Wisconsinites on today. So, but there's weekly series on Patreon. I put the link in the chat, so you can check that out. Jan, anyone else want to say?
Yeah, I don't have any direct plans right now. I'm going to be in Colorado for a while. I may end up doing some road work, but I don't have anything on the books right now. And I'm just getting settled in and still finding stuff. So it'll be a month before I really start getting my stuff together. Rick, where are you from? Where are you calling in from?
Where am I calling in from? About
zooming
probably
in from.
about 3 miles from Jan.
Okay. Oh, you're
Yeah.
in Austin then. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He could spit to my house from his house.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And we're in a weird time. This is a transition time. You know, the one picture is fading and the other picture's forming, and there's not a lot of solidity. But the very next thing I'm doing is at New World Deli on the 30th, 2 to 4. And I plan to keep this show going as long as it'll go, as long as there's interest in it. And I should mention, by the way, that there is a tip jar or several permutations of a tip jar in the chat. And if you are so moved, it will be split 3 ways. So all of us will thank you.
We will, and we'll be so charming when we thank you too.
They are charming always.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that song makes me think about my play that I mentioned earlier, which is going to be produced soon, and which I plan to have be the world's most successful ever eminent domain musical. So, there's a character in the play who's an agent of the state of Wisconsin, and his job is he's trying to convince these sisters to sell their land, and he also is trying to convince one of the sisters to date him. So this is his land conservation / romantic wooing sort of ballad situation. It's actually a duet, and I shall be singing both parts. You'll never know who's singing what. So here we go. Oh, but I did want to say thank you very much for having me, Jan. And it's been a pleasure to hear both Bill and Jan, and so thanks very much.
It's totally my pleasure, Katie.
Well, thanks.
And Bill.
I need a little breathing room. I'm feeling crowded in the city. Need a little green and blue. When I'm feeling tired and gray, oh, I need that sweet perfume. When I'm feeling maddened by the city, a place of deep refuge from the loneliness of my days. A place for the tired and worn to come and rest by the water. Place for the spirit that's torn by the weariness of life. A place for the old to be reborn, to come and rest by the water, beneath the hemlock and the hawthorn, free from the stress and the strife. So we'll leave a little breathing room for those who are crowded in the city. Leave a little green and blue for those who are tired and gray. Just a little sweet perfume for those who are maddened by the city. A place of deep refuge. A place of deep refuge, a place of deep refuge from the loneliness of their days. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful, Katie. Just beautiful. Sweet. Okay, I'm going to do a song that's called "The Heart is Tougher Than the Fist." And this is a song from my Louisiana project, but throughout history, there's any number of groups that have been oppressed and yet survive. And this is a song for them. And it has its application during the civil rights era for people who only wanted the right to be a citizen and to live in peace. And so, anyway, it goes like this. Tried to keep us from the school, tried to keep us from the books. For all your pious Christian talk, you forgot the golden rule. We survived the hunger and the chains, handcuffs, dogs, and whips, hearts tougher than the fist. You can use your jails, you can steal our land, but like the angels saved St. Peter, we got from Herod's hand. We survived the hunger and the chains, handcuffs, dogs, and whips, hearts tougher than the fist. You burning down a church, you burning up a cross. Well, now the time for judgment comes, your soul's already lost. We survived the hunger and the chain, handcuffs, dogs, and whips, hearts tougher than the fist. Hearts tougher than the fist. Hearts tougher than the fist. Like that.
I like that ending.
Thank you. Yeah, it's with a band. It's a lot more fun, I guess. But it really, through history, it kind of proves out.
It has an impact even without the band.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to do kind of a gentle reminder for my last song. And I want to thank Katie and Bill for being here. This has been just delicious. So thank you very much. The other two people that are playing in June are Tina Ross and the Therapy Sisters, who are from here in Austin. And I actually haven't spent any time on stage with them for a number of years now, so I'm pretty excited about having them.
That's what they said.
That's what they said?
Yeah, I was over at their house the other day, and they said, "Hey, we're going to be on Jan's."
Yeah, I'm excited about it. They are exactly what their name sounds like. They are the Therapy Sisters. Baby's pretending she's dancing on the ceiling, leaping over chandeliers, reaching out her hands to touch the floor. Her daddy's on his way home. Any minute he'll be coming through the door. And just for this moment, everything is all right. And I know it cannot last, 'cause I've learned from the past, you cannot stop the travels of time. But just for this moment, everything is fine. Long ago I read life would be better if we could let go and let ourselves be here now. We know that's not so easy. You get lazy and distracted and forget somehow that just for this moment, everything is all right. And I know that it will end, and even the memory will slowly dim and fade. Just for this moment, everything's okay. Moments come and go, love will ebb and flow, and children grow, and we don't live forever. So I want you to know I love you so, and I'm so glad we're together. The way it is today, there but for the grace, praise on my mind and colors my thoughts constantly. But every now and then my eyes will open so I can see that just for this moment, everything is all right. And I know that we'll move on, and the moment will be gone, and I wouldn't change that even if I could. Just for this moment, life is so good.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying and listening. I really love every single one of you. Thank you to Katie, and thank you to Bill. Could we all please uncloak to say goodbye?
Indeed. Thanks to everyone who came and stayed, and very much appreciate your time. And it's wonderful to see people from all across the country, really, and from Israel. And Lisa, it's wonderful to see you too, even if it's only electronically.
Yes.
I know.
So until next time, and I know somebody did leave their email. If you would like to be on this list and you're not already, please leave your email in the chat, and I'll appreciate that too.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you,
enjoyed
Jane.
it.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you,
Thank-
Jane.
Bye, Katie.
Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Bill and everyone. Bye.
Bye.